Raconteurs News.
Good evening and welcome to Raconteurs News. My name's Andy Young and it's Thursday night tonight. We're just filling the gap before Dr. Rock because we've got a pre-recorded show. So Jason's busy supporting Sheffield Wednesday, so there's no Jason tonight. But I'm joined by some very popular guests who are doing a regular monthly update, and that's the guys from Pandoras Box Investigations Limited. Good evening, chaps.
Good evening.
Hi. Evening, Andy.
And obviously I've got to introduce you all. We've got a full complement today. We've got Gordon Bowden, Pete-Bromfield, David-Veitch and Steve Richie.
Hey guys, we're all here, clear and present. It's not often that we can all get together and do this, but it's something that we all enjoy doing.
That's it. You're a little bit quiet there, Pete. If you could perhaps get a little bit closer to your mic.
Oh, some people would probably prefer that, Andy.
Now that sounds better, mate.
It's good that I really like it when us four guys get together. It doesn't happen often enough. But yeah. Okay, I think we're doing good. I think the the feedback that we're getting since we've been doing the shows, Andy, and a lot of that kudos to you for letting us on. You've helped us spread the word out, not only in this country but internationally. I'm getting a lot of feedback from Australia, a lot of questions, a lot of really good questions being asked. Keep it coming. Keep it coming, and let's do it.
That's great, mate. I know we've got quite a few listeners out in Australia, and also we seem to be quite a big hit thanks to some very loyal supporters who are putting the word out in Canada as well. So we're getting the word out over there.
We're all brothers at the end of the day. It doesn't matter what country we come from. If you take away the borders, you're left with humanity, and that's what we are. We need to connect with each other, and that's what's going to win in the end, us all uniting behind it.
Absolutely.
As far as I'm concerned, and I'd like anyone to question what I'm about to say, but there's a lot going on. It seems we're under attack from every direction, but I think I've yet to see anything as good as the work that we at Pandora's Box are doing in exposing the corruption. Because at the end of the day, the only answer and the only fix to all of the problems we have, it doesn't matter what it is, it's to follow the money. And we're very lucky indeed to have people like Gordon Bowden that has really put his life on hold for the last 16, 17 years. To do this stuff and to get this stuff into a library and to get it secured so that it can't be destroyed and can't be swept under the carpet. And I think we owe him a lot of gratitude for the work he's done. I mean, it's absolutely colossal.
Absolutely, Pete. Well, I know last week or the week before we had Anthony Carlin on, the Northern Ireland police officer who arrested the judge, and we got a great deal of positive feedback from there. But it was interesting that everybody who gave us positive feedback also mentioned Gordon and Pandora's Box as well.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of them guys have started following me on Facebook. It's a good thing. They're our Irish brothers. They've been shat on from a great height for far longer than we have. And, it's time we all, as I said, the answer to this is by following the money and by connecting with each other. And I think the internet has achieved that. It's starting to achieve that. All the disinformation that they're trying to push on to everybody isn't working. People are seeing right through it. And I put that down to, so when I started this, we might have had 2 or 3 followers, but I mean, I had a look at the members list on Pandora's Box the other day, and there's literally hundreds. I mean, it's quite a responsibility that we've got, and we want to go about it the right way. And I think there's a lot of intelligence. We're surrounded by a lot of intelligent people, and yeah, I think things are going. I think things are going as planned. I'm sure Gordon is quite positive and a lot happier these days than he was maybe a few years back.
No, just the same guy. Plod on, yeah.
Yeah.
There's just
he's very humble. Very humble. He's very humble. But
So,
what's happening, Gordon? I hear that you've got some things to say of quite a few major updates that are going on. Obviously, there are things that are going on that we can't talk about, obviously, because it jeopardise any court case or pending court case in the future, which is our ultimate goal, obviously, to get these bastards into court and to start getting our money back. You know, it's all over the news at the moment about the NHS. It's a couple of billion in deficit. And the thing is, if we got these corporates to pay their taxes, the NHS would be thriving. And, you know, the politicians just, you know, you ask the politicians the questions about the corruption and the fiddling of the tax, whether it be legal or what, I don't really care. The thing is, they're fiddling it through offshore accounts, and we know how it happens. It's actually tax evasion. It's not avoidance at all. And whenever you ask the people in power about these things, they just glass over it, and it's never mentioned again. So, you know, if they're not going to do it, then we've got to do it, whether it be by boycott or by exposure, and that's what we need to do.
Yeah, say, if I could just join in there. When you talk about tax evasion and you talk about corporates like Vodafone, who included directors like Miss Anne Laverone and Sir Samuel S. and Jonah. Well, that was until I named them, and Anne Laverone did a runner. And then she went to Rio Tinto. However, they have very close friends in government, and I include David Cameron, who managed to get him off a $6 billion tax bill.
Yeah.
Now, he just do it for Vodafone, for Anne Laverone, and Sir Samuel S. and Jonah. He also did it for his mate, who operates a company called Cairn, who did operate a company called Cairn Energy. And that was the William Bill Benjamin Bowring Gamble, who operated
people, aren't they?
Yeah, he operated a network of Ponzi scam companies, which are still operating, called Cairn Energy, and its multiple subsidiaries, all under various names. And those subsidiaries are conduits, as conduit vehicles for moving money from a parental company to the subsidiaries where they can write it off in exploration costs. Now, David Cameron, when he went to India a few years ago, you can see it in the major press releases, he managed to get Vodafone off another tax £1 billion deal that they owed the Indian government. And so when you look at the influence of politics and who funds political parties, you can get a better idea of who's involved by looking at the donors and checking their companies, which is what I did about 10 years ago, is to understand the mechanics. So the main emphasis that I've been going over in the last 4 or 5 years was the focus on Angelsey-mining PLC, which I'm quite well informed that your listeners is linked to, and I state this, it's linked to nuclear waste management and the hiding of without asking the population of Anglesey. Now, I'll put my name online to say that based upon the information that I have, it has been a covert nuclear waste repository since 1989 to 1991 when they sunk the Morris shaft. But there's been further developments which I'll go into in detail. And if anybody wants to query my research, they're more than welcome. And it concerns the new appointed administrators for Angelsey-mining PLC. This will be news to even to the other members of Pandora's Box. Is if you look at their corporate AIM AGM report that's come out, which gives details of the AGM meeting, which is to be held at the end of this month. And
Are we going?
Pardon?
Are we going to go to that?
Well, unless you're shareholders, you won't get in. So it'd be a waste of time. So I believe that we can fight from a distance, because apparently that they're well prepared for us by having security staff to stop us influencing other investors. Right. So I still think we can fight from a distance, and I've set about wheels in motion to try to bring this into a court of law, albeit through another person that I won't mention on the radio, a man that I had great integrity and trust in, who was sort of...
I know what you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah, don't mention the name, Pete. Don't mention.
No. So I held that man in very high esteem, and it appears he's turned a corner, and he's ridiculed me in a few places. But I'm a bigger man than that, you know, and names eventually they do stick in my throat for what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, of course.
Anyway, if you look at the latest corporate documents that have been put on the internet, and you read through the bottom, it says their London office is 9 Little Trinity Lane in London. Now that's Sonic Lodge of the and that's the same address of the recently resigned director of Anglesey-mining, and his name is Roger William Turner. And if you put Roger William Turner into any internet search next to Panama Papers, you'll come up with a company called Phoenix Mining and its multiple subsidiaries. And guess where they come out of? Well, it's 8 and 9 Little Trinity Lane in London. And that's the address. If you put Dinesh Varma into Panama Papers, you'll come up with the same address, because that's Dinesh Kumar Varma, who is also the financial director of Anglesey-mining. However, there's certain people that we riled at the latest Master Investor Roadshow, and I'm a good one for sticking thorns in people's sides. People have stolen billions and think that they're so smart that they're going to get away with it for the rest of their lives. Well, believe
they don't like us too much, do they, there?
Pardon?
I don't really like us too much there, do they?
No, there's a few gentlemen that don't like us, and I'll name them. One is James Mellon, one of the biggest cops with his father, Sir James
Lennigas.
And David Lennigas and Tom Winifred, and the directors and executives of Pinsent Masons. Yeah. Well, not only that, there's the other gentleman, Andrew Bell, from Red Rock Resources and Regency Mines, and all the other Ponzi scams that they're pulling.
And did you notice the people in the audience when the other guy, Mellon, was speaking? Yeah. The look of adoration on some of their faces. It was like watching people. It was like watching zombies.
Oh, I thought it was interesting to note. I had a listen when you were on Enemy Within with Tom Barnes the other day, and I gather you had Andrew Bell listening in when you were doing that interview.
Yeah. Well, I think he's trying to befriend us. I do. I think secretly he wants to fund our court case against Andrew. So let's just keep our fingers crossed on that one.
Yeah.
There's a few executives of the biggest mining company and corporation that are really worried about the information that I passed to French investigators working for Areva Nuclear. And that concerns the head honcho at Rio Tinto. And now you're talking about the big boys, because Rio Tinto, they're the conglomerates that are trying to control everything, all the mineral resources all over the world. Yeah. And the reason being, HMH is a major shareholder, and so are most of the royal family of Rio Tinto.
I've worked for that company.
Yeah, when people cut and run from one Ponzi scam to another, and try to stay out of the headlight, as Miss Anne Laveron is doing. When she ran from Vodafone, she immediately went back to the biggest Ponzi scam of them all, and money laundering mechanism, and that was Rio Tinto. And if anybody wants to type in Rio Tinto and Anne Laverone into an internet search, they'll come up with the head gentleman of Rio Tinto is really worried about what's going to develop through French prosecutors who are ongoing working on this to identify every single person that made money criminally out of the transfer of shares and cash out of Euramin Inc. and Arriva.
I wonder if they're going to investigate the Queen, Gordon.
Well, she's not going to move house very quick, is she?
Well, she's got several. She can move between them, can't she? But the thing is she's one of the largest investors in that, and therefore, you know, she's part of it. And, you know, these are the kinds of things that we've got to deal with, you know. These are the people that should be above all of this. You know, these are the people that are supposed to be, you know, looking after we the people. You know, they hold sovereignty for us, right? And they're just taking the piss.
Yeah, well, that's what they do. Now, I'd just like to make sure that this is all on the record by putting it out in a broadcast. And whether HMRC or the Serious Fraud Office or the City of London Police or the Met Police want to act upon this, because now it's on the record, that when you start to dismantle corporates and understand the mechanisms for moving hundreds of millions of pounds to offshore havens like Panama or British Virgin Islands or Cyprus, it doesn't matter where they intend to move it. They have to use a conduit, and that conduit is normally companies set up where they have just numbers for the accounts. However, for me, it's been rather easy when I've studied corporates and how they managed to steal the money, is to when you looked at Angelsey-mining, people wouldn't understand. They just see names of corporates without understanding the structures and the people involved. So when they changed, when I ruffled a few feathers, they changed their corporate advisors, and they are now Beaufort Securities Limited. The important thing is that when you put Beaufort Securities Limited, that's spelled EEAUFORT, Securities Limited, and the company number is 02693942. So let's be accurate about it. That was incorporated in 1992. Roughly 1 year after the end of sinking of the Morris shaft. So bear that in mind. It used to be called, when you check it, oh, by the way, there were two companies, both Securities Limited, spelt identically. One was dissolved, and this one, which is active. So there's also a conflict of interest in having two companies of an identical name, both involved in brokeraging. Do you know when they sell shares? Miss Andrea Davison's going to love this if she's listening. Anyway, if you looked at that one, it was incorporated 5th of March 1992, but its previous name in 2013, 23rd of the 4th, was HB Markets Limited. But before that, its name was Hoodless Brennan PLC, and that was changed in 2010, all thanks to me. And then its previous name in 2005 was Hoodless Brennan Partners PLC. And I bet Tom Winifred is wetting his pants right now, me mentioning that, because that's directly linked to our friend Tom that we met at Master Investor Roadshow. And the reason is that when you look at the Beaufort variation subsidiaries, you'll come across a company called Beaufort Ventures PLC, company number 04553629. And guess where that was launched?
Finchley Road, or was it?
Well, throw the man a packet of crisps. Yeah. Company directors, secretaries. So that's why Tom sort of shunted us. And he's supposed to be the sheriff of the alternative investment market. The biggest organized crime, Rothschilds, Freemason, mafia, money laundering boiler room in the world.
Yeah,
and that's
along with their charities.
Yeah, well, see, it's when you look at the directors of, say, Beaufort Ventures Limited. And this is what gives me great pleasure when I dismantle companies and their co-directors, is that you come across a guy called Stephen John Pinner. I hope this gets back to him, because guess what he was? He was a director of Abbey National Securities. Now, Abbey National Securities were in the same building, which is now Santander, if you understand, banking. And Abbey National, their chief executives managed to get rid of their problem, and their problem was a guy called Richard Chang. And I have tried to help Jacqueline Chang, the sister of Richard Chang, who was thrown, I'll say it, he was thrown from the 5th floor window of Abbey National Bank. And he was being interrogated by directors of Kroll Security. And you know where Kroll Security, their chief executives was SAS commanders, Brigadier Aldwin.
I think that's a suicide hit squad. I think that's a hit squad, that lot.
Well, as I said, if you have a problem, why not bring in the best people in the world to sort it out with their underlings that they issue orders for? As I said, it's very easy for me to identify common addresses which are all linked to brokerages that are part of the biggest fraud system and money laundering system in the world. And so when you see addresses like 131 Finsbury Pavement and those company addresses linked to Beaufort Securities, or even the studio St Nicholas Close in Elstree in Hertfordshire, is that when you see those, all you have to understand is that you look at common association, and it's when you see the billions that have been lost or claimed to be lost by those people operating corporates out of those addresses. Now, I'm sure people have heard of Capita. Anybody heard of Capita?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's Capita is linked to Anglesey-mining PLC. So, I said, it's just when you see common association, is that you ask for answers from the people, from the board of directors of those companies, to explain their involvement with companies like Anglesey-mining PLC that have operated for 31 years. Now, we all know the amount of correspondence that I've been pumping out to Jeremy Corbyn and Theresa May. Well, congratulations, Jeremy Corbyn. You've just been declared the new leader of the Labour Party. Then I will ask you, Mr. Corbyn, why you haven't had the decency to reply to me and Pandoras Box Investigations. Explain your reluctance to confront and expose the biggest criminal organisation in this country, not Burkina Faso or Nigeria or Chad or Sudan, here in the city of London. If you're going to be the leader of this country and bring it back out of the depression that it's been in political party corruption, then you need to expose even your own ex-leader, Tony Blair, because he's linked to 790 Finchley Road.
Yeah, in a big way. You hear about all the corruption in these, Spanish countries, the South American countries, Africa. But the thing people don't realise is all of that corruption leads back to our own city of London. All of it. I'm telling you, all of it.
Yeah.
I don't know where the empire went. I think it just went underground because, it's the same people in charge. If you look at the East India Railway Company, these companies are still in existence. They're just going by different names.
I noticed last time we were on, Gordon, we actually did it as a live show, and we had someone there in the chat room who was trying to challenge your evidence, and you laid down the challenge that you'd meet them with a video camera and discuss your evidence. Did they actually take you up on that offer at all?
No. They think that I'm going to disrupt their AGM, but the laws of being admitted into an AGM meeting is that you must be a shareholder. And
we're definitely not going to buy any of their bloody shares.
Oh, well, if I did, I would be then part and parcel of an organised crime system with that knowledge. You understand?
Yeah.
Is that if I knew, and trust me, I could have made a lot of money with the information that I've had over the last 4 years. But when you start to reflect, I've always pumped ABC Four Corners Bad Company as being the template for understanding how they can steal billions. And it's when confronted at within that video broadcast, which was it was a massive screening in Australia, but strangely it was never rebroadcast here in the UK. But because those companies originated out of 6 St James's Place in James's Square, and that's a property. It's a property owned by the Rothschilds. So, not only that, guess where Rio Tinto is? Anyway, so without just going back to a common address, what you should look is that when you get senior members of the House of Lords who are all inducted into this biggest system that they have in asset stripping, which is corporate espionage, is that you'll understand, and I'll name them, I'm not scared to name them, Lord Crickhowell. Now, Lord Crickhowell, if you check on the internet or company director check, he has 2 different IDs, and sorry, he's got about 5, but the 2 ones under Lord operate, you'll see, is a company called ITNET, ITNET Limited, Lord Crickhowell. Now, if you check through the directors of that, and you'll see how many companies he's a corporate director of, you'll see another name that he's a director of. It's called Serco Solutions. Ever heard? Anybody heard of Serco?
Oh, yes. Able Danger really hot on Serco. They think that the world is controlled by Serco.
So now you know, this is all now on the record because it's been in a public aired broadcast where I've put it on the record. Anybody can check. This is why I have said that these companies, these scam companies, have managed to organize through complicit auditors and accountants. I'm talking about the biggest auditors and the bankers. HSBC Bank. Who's the banker for angelsey-mining PLC? HSBC Bank.
HSBC.
So, not only has HSBC Bank been fined billions for using and facilitating organized crime, drug money, mafia money, now they're linked to Anglesey-Mining PLC. So there's another incentive for a corporate body and an administration and a government-funded investigation into the corporate operation of Anglesey-Mining PLC. The most important thing is not the money, is if they had deceived the people of Anglesey and gone ahead with what they said that they would do was to look for sites for nuclear waste. Yeah. Now, based upon all the corporate documents that I have recovered, that's what it is. It's a covert repository for the Magnox North decommissioned twin reactor to get rid of their shite. Now, these people are not nice people. These people have one thing in mind only. That's money. Because money is power.
Yeah.
But if you looked at the directors of Beaufort Nominees Limited, you would also find out there's a certain gentleman called David Jinks.
David, do you think that's his real name?
Well, that's his real name in the corporate world. David Jinks is also a director of Cadbury Schweppes and Camelot Lotteries. Now,
right.
Now, I don't know if anybody knows where Cadbury Schweppes building is. Guess who moved into there after they ran from 22 Arlington Street? Lonro.
Ah.
So I'm just joining the dots for people who wouldn't understand where to look. And when you know where to look and when you see the names popping up, it's like it smacks you in the face that these people have the audacity to steal the money that they are stealing When there's people who, I'm talking about thousands of people who rely on food handouts. It's a joke, and I will stand by all my work that I'm trying to do. Not for one penny. I'm trying to do this to make it a better place. That's all I'm trying.
It does affect us all. I mean, we can prove that. We can prove that it affects us all financially. Anyone that pays national insurance, it's easy. You're getting ripped off, and that's just one thing. That's an easy thing. But if you add it all together, no wonder the minimum wage is below the poverty line. It's only because of the corruption the world is in such a state. It's all to do with weird things. And if we can stop 20% of it, it's going to make a massive difference in the service.
I would hope Jeremy Corbyn, after this show, when he settled down, give him a couple of days to settle down, having gone through a hard fight to beat that.
Yeah, but I think the Labour Party is finished.
Well, I don't think it's finished. I think that they have to have a new approach of politics. They have to clean out corruption. That's what they have to do. They have to get rid of the old guard and the old school and the Tony Blairites, who have all been lining their pockets, and they've
been lining their pockets for hundreds of years. These politicians, all of them. That's why they go into it. It's there's very few that we can find that are any good at all.
Gordon, on the subject of Anglesey-mining PLC, I remember last time you came on with us, you had done some quite extensive filming over there on Anglesey, but were having difficulty getting hold of the actual results. Any progress on that front there?
No, it's part of Pandoras Box film and program to be aired or purchased by a major corporate. Sorry, I'm getting a bit of back echo here. I don't know how we're getting it, but Dave Eden, with others, set about offering us a contract to do 2 programs, and they were to be limited to about 30 to 45 minutes per film, to do an exposure on Anglesey-mining PLC and the interconnected boiler rooms and corporate money laundering structures associated with that company and its directors. And the spin-off for that would be this. We've done the filming at the mine shaft. Sorry, at the entrance to the mine shaft. It's private property, and then we would have broken the law. We'd have gone in.
You can quite easily see the structure of the elevator shaft on top. Quite easily, with them wheels haven't turned for more than 30 years. I mean, they're rusted up completely.
1891, and the winder is inside. I've got photographs which kindly produced by a certain gentleman in Anglesey. I'm not going to. Is that there's been extensive research done, not just on cementation mining, but Nyrex and Sellafield and all the interlock directors who are complicit in this covert action. It's just that it's criminal what they have done, and they should be exposed for what they are, and that is possibly destroying the resources of Anglesey in future, because these people will long be dead because of that stuff it's deadly within 250,000 years. So, as I said, these people don't care. They'll throw it anywhere. They were throwing it in the sea a long time ago, but they got caught, and so they've had to.
I think this is why the cancer rates are going up. They reckon that 1 in 2 of us are going to get cancer now. We know for sure that the across that Anglesey Peninsula there, that they've stored nuclear waste, and I'm just wondering whether there's quite a few other places as well, because don't forget, there was mines right through the Midlands, West Midlands, through Nottingham, Northamptonshire. These coal mines were everywhere. So how many more how many more are being used as nuclear suppositories?
Yeah, Gordon, you were talking about Andy asked a question about how we're getting on with the filming. So the filming's being done on Anglesey, but then I think you were going to expand a bit more and say where we are with the rest of it.
Yeah, David came to Derby and we did 3.5 hours of filming in my house, where I went over how I became involved in all this to sort of do a backdrop of how I became involved in this and my sort of expertise in dismantling corporate to show the money trail, follow the money. That's all I'm good at, is dismantling. And then understanding the importance of individuals, how they play an important and integral part in being able to facilitate that money laundering by being part of a corporate that can just sign millions off and loan it to other companies and then write it off. And that's how they steal the money. However, some of the stuff that I mentioned within the last 3.5 hour of filming then travels down to the addresses. Now, I'm waiting. It's been 2 weeks now, and Dave Eden was going to do the editing of that to incorporate it into the first part of the filming of Angelsey-mining PLC. But things have moved on. I'm still waiting for him to come back to find out when we've got to travel to London as a group, Pandoras Box Investigations Limited as a group, to do the third part of the filming, to then compile and edit and shorten the footage that's been taken to then do so many master copies that can then be offered to various channels, not just in the UK, but internationally. And
do you want to explain where the filming was going to take place, Gordon, in London?
Yeah, well, there were going to be multiple boiler room addresses to which I've identified, and they include 665 Finchley Road, 420 Finchley Road, 923 Finchley Road, Winnington House, 2 Woodbury Grove, Ascot House, 2 Woodbury Grove, North Finchley, and the big one, 788, 790 Finchley Road. And then there are multiple addresses, but one of the some of the big ones, they include 22 Arlington Street, which is attached to the Ritz. Yeah. And that was then the home of Lonro and its subsidiary Ponzi scams, and also the home of Zurich Financial Services. And one of the advisors for that was Tony Blair. So, yes, multiple addresses, including Painters Hall, 8 and 9 Little Trinity Lane, which includes there are multiple Masonic Lodge meetings at that address. It's just the most important one, as I stated before, is linked to the Director General of the BBC, Lord Anthony William Hall, who is through his, you can check Wikipedia, but he is the liveryman for Painters and Stainers Lodge, which is that same address. And that would explain why Roger William Turner, Dinesh Kumar Varma, Robert Ian Cuthbertson, and many others are linked to that same Masonic Lodge.
From Anglesey-mining.
Yeah, from Anglesey-mining. So there are many questions that the shareholders should be asking. Is there any influence of Freemasonry into their losses as individual investors? I'm not talking about the major shareholders who, when they purchase the share, they then dump them when the price spikes. And these Muppets who get what they call optional shares, the directors, they then play musical chairs in director insider trading by pumping the price up and then selling. Then when it drops down, they then purchase with the overspill that they've made on the previous killing. That's what they call a pump and dump company.
Dump, yeah.
So when I've looked at the integrity of the people surrounding Anglesey-mining PLC and how it links to the bigger corporates like Magnox. Now, if you check, anybody can check. It's a simple process. Go and have a look for Claire Spotingswood. That's wood spelled Woode. Spotiswood. Well, she's got 14 director ID numbers. Now, guess what companies? Magnox North Limited, G4S,
Oh,
and Pincent Masons. Now, blow me down. Hey, they're taking the mick.
We met at Pincent Mason's at the Master Investor Roadshow, didn't he?
Oh, well, my recorder was still on. Yes, we did.
Yeah, mine was as well.
Yeah.
That was a very interesting conversation.
Yeah, we did, didn't we?
Yeah.
It was about a friend of mine called Frank Timmis.
yeah.
Yeah, his name is Vasale Frank Timmis. Well, ask the Australians what they think about Vasale Frank Timmis. Well, they've investigated his mates. One is Peter Landau, and the other one is Anthony William Paul Sage. You know,
Yeah. And we know
the federal police raided twice.
Yeah, we know the Australian authorities have now frozen all of Peter Landau's assets. So, you know, we're not just making this up. It's this is all truth coming out.
The net is closing.
Well, I hope so.
Net is closing.
You know, these people are supposed to. These people take an oath. They take an oath of public office, and you know what? It doesn't mean a thing to them.
Yeah.
There is no.
Yeah. The trouble is, though, Pete, that the Freemasons take an oath as well.
Of course, and that oath is higher than any oath they take.
Exactly.
So you know, we've got to, as the group says on Facebook, abolish all Freemasons from holding public office.
Yep.
You know, this thing, all the troubles, all the poverty, everything could be sorted out by sorting out the problem that we are trying to deal with. You know.
Yeah. Gordon.
You know, they've been getting away with it for so long that these people actually think that they've got a divine right to rip us all off and to, use us as guinea pigs. I mean, we all know they're doing it. You know.
Gordon.
Go on, Andy.
No, it was me, Steve.
Oh, sorry, Steve. I thought it was Andy.
Yeah. Could you, Gordon, answer me? Does Mark Gregory Hardy have 12 directorships or 49 directorships?
49. Depends which way you want to look at it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because his wife, if you go to look at his wife,
I have
then
done.
you find his 49 companies. But if you put his name in, he comes up with 12.
That's right. And that's why they're able, using their expertise as accountants, to be able to throw a cloud or a shield about anybody that's trying to do any digging.
Yeah, and if you want to look into the truth movement and the people in the truth movement, that's one way of finding out.
Well, as I said, is that very few people
family members
would spend days, never mind years, like I've done. I've got a better understanding. I'm not an expert. I'm not an accountant or an auditor. All I am is a reasonable engineer that can dismantle things and be able to understand how each part plays. And
you're so humble. You're too humble, Gordon.
I'm not blinking humble, Pete. I just don't like to see people think that they're smart asses. Excuse my.
Yeah.
And think
get it over
they can steal from little people and chuckle about it.
Absolutely.
They deserve to be exposed for what they are. Whether they carry a
these are the people that burn £50 notes in front of homeless people. You know.
Yeah.
These are the kinds of people they are.
The Bullingdon boys, yeah.
Bullingdon boys, and there's a lot more. There's a lot more about them. I mean, there's a TV show on at the moment called The Riot Club, and if you just change the name to the Bullingdon Club, you've got it there. They're actually filming. I mean, some of the stuff that's coming out in the mainstream media now, it's as if they're trying to turn everything into a conspiracy theory. You know, there's loads of. I mean, I've seen quite a few programs now on company frauds and things like this, and it's just a total whitewash. You know?
Yeah. I think people like Theresa May, who have, with her husband's influence in some of the biggest corporates, because I mean, what he's involved with is trillion pound corporates.
Yeah.
That's the people that you don't want in government, because you know that they're working for those corporates.
Yeah.
they're the people that influence direction within government. And as I said, is that when you can follow people linked to the big boys, the big people that get the big contracts, like the high-speed rail lines and links, is that if you were to look at the same people linked to Claire Spotiswoode, well, however you pronounce it, you'll find this guy, John Anthony Craven. Well, if you check Lonhro, you'll find that he's linked to that. However, but there's links to the Financial Conduct Authority. So when you're talking about how these people are never being brought to justice, that's why. The Financial Conduct Authority. That's what it really makes me sad that there's no due diligence by an independent group, to which I would hope that somebody like Jeremy Corbyn will turn around and say, listen, if you can give us guidance where we should look to recover this money that will change this and turn this country around financially, then we'll offer it. We'll offer it and be paid just a salary.
Yes, exactly.
On a no.
I mean, all the work's been done. We could
done. I've got a library here that will fill up a truck.
Yeah. I mean, look, these investigations that the government do, say, look, like on the child abuse, the reason that it takes so long or so many years is because they have to investigate everything that's been done, obviously. Now, the beauty of the stuff that we're doing is it's already been investigated and documented. So, we're not talking years, we're talking months. We could put a stop to this thing very, very, very quickly. If Jeremy Corbyn's listening, give us a quango. Give us a quango. We'll do it for a salary.
Yeah, Gordon.
I came a couple of accountants, and let's expose this thing. Let's put a stop to it once and for all.
Exactly, Gordon. You mentioned a name to me the other day. It's the British Syria Association.
Yeah, I sent you this.
Yeah, there's a lot of things going on in Syria. Hang on, Pete. There's a lot of things going on in Syria at the moment. Do you want to expand on the British Syria Association, Gordon?
Of course, because when you're talking about geopolitics and when you're talking about the disruption and rebel forces, you've got to understand, as I said to you before, as an ex-military person, you have to have logistical support. That comes from one thing, that's money. And when people want to set up a sort of corrupted government, first of all, they have to get rid of the other people. And Putin would know well about this, because I gave him the Russian embassy, some information which would have explained a lot. And
I think you should send him a bit more information as well, Gordon.
Well, it's having the time to be able to sit down and concentrate and focus on where we should be going. However, with Syria, when I've watched the TV reports of Putin or the Russian support about bombing the rebels and trying to get rid of Assad's opposition, is that you end up much the same as Iraq and Iran. And what people rubbing their hands with is the same as with Iraq and Iran. We were supplying both sides. We were.
Yeah.
And the Americans. We were supplying both sides in Iraq and Iran for them to blow each other to pieces. And where our government comes in line for humanitarian people, trust me, they should all be put against a wall and given the coup de grace, because these people are scum. That's say it as an ex-serviceman. It puts bile in my throat what these people are up to for the sake of dosh, a bit of wonga.
There's a lot of people. There's a lot of people within the city of London that are making a lot of money off of these little wars in the Middle East.
Exactly.
They're making a hell of a lot of money. And you think the Second World War only went for 4 years, didn't it? I mean, how long's this one been going on for?
Perpetual.
Going on for nearly 20 years, for God's sake. These arms dealers are making fortunes.
Yeah, Mohammed, Adnan, Khashoggi, the uncle of Mohammed al-Fayyad, whose daughter was born from the sperm of Jonathan Aitken.
Yes.
Who was visiting Andrea Davison, confirmed, in her little Bangor village property. Now,
which was a boiler room. Yeah.
Yeah, I said, no, not the boiler room, where she was
No,
resident.
it was a passport. It was an identity thing, wasn't it? She used to sell identities from there, didn't she?
Well, as I said, she was spotted by her conjoined resident person who spotted Jonathan Aitken turning up at her address. So when you're talking about a Syrian and the Syrian Foundation or the British Syrian Foundation, then you start to look at the SAID Foundation, that's SAID. And when you look at the people, the directors, you come across none other than Jonathan Aitken. So what I believe is that these people are structuring a takeover of a country to then induct a corrupt government, which will be at the beck and call of the Rothschilds. That's what I believe.
Yeah. And what arms manufacturers does Aitken work for?
Well,
direct.
Aitken was a director of BMARC, that's BMARC, BMARC, and that was a Belgian company set out for the production and manufacturing of a Gatling gun. That's what it was. It was used on ships. It was used on ships to destroy incoming low-flying Exocet missiles. Now they fire, I don't know how many rounds a second they fire, but it's thousands. And what a pleasure. Every time somebody sticks a finger on a trigger for a few seconds, there's people, lords, sirs, who are rubbing their hands. And that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about, money.
What have we got? How can we what about that Liam Fox?
Well, we can nail them all, but to focus individually, to start somewhere, which, as I said, start with Finchley Road, 788, and start with Anglesey-mining, and then just rip them all to pieces. I mean, as one falls, so will all the others, because that's what it feeds.
Yeah. We need TV to get back on the phone, don't we, and get this film made.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, this Anglesey-mining thing that we blather on about all the time is a fantastic place to start, because it's going to lead into much bigger things, you know. So this is why we want to expose Anglesey-mining above and beyond sort of everything else. You know, it's the brick in the wall, if you like.
The spin-off for exposing Anglesey-mining by putting the people in the spotlight, the directors, their current and past directors, and their history of corporate failure. I'm talking billions in corporate failure. Who in government is assigned to protect this country against financial collapse of corporates? Surely, I've written to the other ones, and they all did a runner. But this is not hearsay. Somebody would say, show me the evidence. Show me the proof. Well, I'm showing you. Is there any...
Nobody else naming names like Pandoras Boxes. Yeah. Nobody.
Is there any substance to the allegations and the accusations that I've made? Is there any substance? Well, how can you have a mining company for 32 years that's never done any mining? Yeah. That they started off with Canadian Zinc Corporation as a pizza company, for God's sake. Yeah. With substance, there's the substance. Now, it doesn't take an Oxford or Cambridge graduate or a rocket scientist or a space cadet. All it takes is somebody with gumption to understand that there's something there that is not right, that should be investigated to a full level. And then it's going to hit the fan.
Yeah, HMRC have been contacted, though, haven't they, Gordon?
Yeah, HMRC contacted me. I've got a file reference number, and I would hope that they conduct themselves to the positions of responsibility that they're supposed to is that as soon as you get to a level where you start to name lords, that they don't just go and hide under a corner in a room and just file everything in the bin. This goes to the very top of the House of Lords and then to bankers. And then you're talking HSBC Bank, which are already got a bad reputation. They don't want it anymore. But we're talking about
Fred and his great pension.
We're talking about the collapse of the alternative investment market as being a corporate casino for organised crime money laundering. And what ability would that give this country in the financial world to show it is a clean organisation? It's not. It's a filthy, corrupt network. That's what needs to be exposed by Jeremy Corbyn. We need to expose this through somebody that can stand up, like I believe Dennis Skinner would. I believe Dennis Skinner would stand up and shout. But then I found a lot of Skinner relatives that are possibly being paid by other corporates. So,
one of Skinner's sons, or I think it's one of his sons, is married into aristocracy or something, isn't he?
Well, as I said,
is it not a Rothschild? It's a goldsmith or something, isn't it? Something like that.
They can screw anybody.
Sorry?
All from the same seed, David.
Yeah, yep.
Gordon, aren't they trying to sell Anglesey-mining again with new zinc and copper and small amounts of gold?
Pardon?
Yeah, right.
Anglesey-mining, aren't they trying to raise shares again, redoing it, saying there is deposit?
Yeah. Jam tomorrow.
Yeah, they always do that because that's the way they refloat more shares to bring in more money. Now, if you look at the various websites and the web blogs message board for investors, you'll see that somebody's put there that they have 2 million cash. No, they don't. No, they don't. Minus 2 million, yeah. So the reason that it's so easy to spot what they are doing is not mining, it's money laundering. Yeah. They're moving money in and out from investors' cash, and then they're moving it to purchase other plots of shit.
Right.
Did you know, Gordon, that I've been going on to the Anglesey-mining chat site on the LSE board, and I've been blocked.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Well, just because I've been posting some of your facts on there that blocked me. I haven't been insulting to anybody, but there's a lot of people in there that have been very, very insulting. Because they think it was you that was posting on there. They've been very, very insulting to you. They've been calling you fatso and all sorts of rude, derogatory things.
Action
very rude.
Taken. Don't worry.
All right, I'll just leave it.
Okay.
You know, one thing that could be done that would throw a spanner in all of the works of the goings on here would be to abolish tax havens. You know, and this is why they don't do it. Okay, because that's the that's what they need.
There's only one thing to stop them, and that's us. That's Gordon. That's going to get stopped.
I agree with you. We've got to expose it. But if anybody in politics is, any MPs are serious about this as we are, then that would be one thing to to shout from the rooftops. We've got to close down these tax havens. Yeah. After all, we run the majority of them through our British Commonwealth countries.
Gordon, have you got any idea why Corbyn isn't getting on the phone to you now? Has he got relatives that are involved in this or anything like that? Do you think?
I said all you've got to do is look at some history and find out any relatives, close relatives, and put their name in the check and see what pops up.
All right.
With, you say that people have come. Well, the action is being taken at this moment in time to do this the proper way in a court. And by doing it this way, what I will be allowed to do is then put certain information within the court that goes down in public record. as the same as I did with Andrea Davison, is that when you put it in public record, those documents become public access, and anybody can question or overview that evidence to see who's talking the truth.
Yeah, well, they're not trying to put that court case into camera, Gordon.
Well, they might try to do it because of, but when you start to talk defamation, trust me, that person has been fully informed. I do know how to do defamatory N244 filing, and he falls within that category. And those people who have witnessed the statements that person has put on a public access view internet site will be listed.
Yeah, we can't say more than that, Andy, at the moment, because it's like it'll be. I'm not being called fat. Don't worry, I am, because that's.
There are things going on behind the scenes. I mean, we know that there are things going on behind the scenes.
Okay, well, we've got to the end of the first hour, and that was absolutely packed with information. What we'll do now is we'll have a quick music break so that we can grab a bit of refreshment, and so can our listeners. So, Pete, I believe you wanted a record dedicating to a friend of yours, Andy. Would you like to tell us?
Guy I work with. He's a newcomer to what I do. Or what we do at Pandoras Box. He just loves what we're doing, and to Andy and the rest of the guys at Richard Murray Transport.
Okay, this is for you, Andy. I gather you like rock music, and this is Different Worlds from the Force. We'll be back in a few minutes. and welcome back to Raconteurs News this Thursday evening. And I would just like to say, do stay tuned for Dr. Rock, who'll be on immediately following this show at 9 o'clock, because I know Doc Rock's got something pretty special lined up for you tonight. And from what I gather, he's going to be on an outside broadcast, and it'll be from deepest, darkest London tonight. So really looking forward to that one. But anyway, on to this show, and welcome back to Pandora's Box. Gordon, Peter, David, and Stevie. Welcome back, guys.
Yeah, still here.
Excellent. That's an excellent band, that. I can't believe they're unsigned. I can't wait to see them live.
Yeah, they're absolutely fantastic live, Pete.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to meeting them, mate. I'll be up there very, very shortly.
Excellent. So, Angelsey-mining PLC, and we're looking at getting these vermin into court. Where do we go with the second half, Gordon?
Well, I think that when you put something in the public domain, which becomes a reference point for anybody wanting to take out a defamation, slander and libel case, you would think that the company, in order to protect its integrity, would take action against those people who post, insults against what they're doing. However, I've been questioned and said that, where's the proof of anybody confronting me? Well, they have done. I said in 2013, I had representatives of Sir Samuel S. and Jonah and Peter Landau bash on my door at 10 o'clock at night. Once I corresponded back with those people, attorneys, they were named as Memory Crystal at 44 Southampton Buildings in London, who represented Peter Landau and Sir Samuel S. and Jonah. When I informed them it would be good to get this into court, and then I could prove a certain point by N265 full disclosure evidence from directors and head investigator for a company which was orchestrated to conduct investigations for Arriva Nuclear France. Then all of a sudden, all the threats stopped.
Yeah.
So
that's on Loveware, isn't it?
I've got the correspondence, and that would be used in a court of law. Now, I would like an opportunity for the directors of Angelsey-mining PLC just to answer questions. How come you have never mined one thimbleful of dirt in 32 years? And the mining that was done was purely to sink the shaft and the 1,000-metre extended gallery. That's not mining. That's just making a chamber.
And how many years have they been getting a grant from the local council?
Every year.
30 years?
30 years.
And how much is that grant?
The previous mining, previous mines that operate in and around there under the same property guise, they got a grant to help dewater it after it became a danger. Mm-hmm. Now, that thing only had a water head, the previous flooded mine that's there, not the Morris shaft, but one very closely linked to it under the same property, had, I think it was 60 metres of water, which was acidic. Now, they had to get a grant from the council and the Welsh authority to dewater that. It was a big operation, and it was conducted by Cementation Mining. So, there's another name. So, as I said, now, the Morris shaft, by virtue of a quotation from Bill Hooley and his crony, Don McCullum, is that it's flooded to within 20 foot of the top. Now, working on a 300-metre shaft that's got, say, 500 foot below sea level, that would mean that there's a shitload of water there, of highly acidic water, that has to be dewatered before any operation can take place. But Bill Hooley cut his own throat in an interview in 2014, a mine site interview, by claiming that it was a nice, tight mine and they could start production more or less straight away. What with snorkels and masks and flippers? I don't think so.
Unreal. It's just unreal, isn't it?
It's unreal. It's a joke. It's a joke.
You look at the stuff these are getting away with, and let me tell you, I've been a part of some of these without realising. When I used to work for certain companies in Western Australia, in the gold mine, you'd be on a mine for 6 weeks, and you were told you were just getting it ready, to dig down to the first course of ore, to dig the haul roads in, to put the structures up for the miners and the kitchen staff and all of that. And then you're moved on after 6 weeks onto another mine. But what you've got to realise is, whilst you're there taking all this dirt from one place and piling it up in another place, which is worthless dirt, these guys are taking photos and making glossy brochures up, and then they're getting people on the penny market to invest in those companies, which are actually mining nothing. And these some of these plots, some of these mining plots, that you can pick them up for $1, up to thousands and even millions, but they're in the middle of nowhere, So if you as an ordinary person or an investor, what comes along and you see one of these brochures that they offer at places like the Investment Roadshow, you can be quite easily suckered in because you can see. But who's going to go out and visit these places? And I'm telling you, these places, without a water and a good packed lunch, you're not going to get there.
They've been branching out into fracking as well, haven't they?
How easy it is.
Yeah, they've been branching out into fracking as well, Gordon, haven't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, if you understand Sellafield as a nuclear waste repository under the guise of NIREX and Magnox North common directors, is that all these power stations that they have built that are coming up for decommissioning, they've got to get rid of all that shite, that dark crap.
So where do you think
that's where the fracking comes in handy, because there's already been talk about them putting waste down there, using them as after they've mined it of all that and fucked it all up, to put nuclear waste down there. They're really going for it.
Peter, I'm not talking about them drilling for gas. I'm talking about them using the companies as a covert guise, the fracking companies, to think about drilling a pupload of holes, looking for gas, but in the meantime plugging them and then maybe dropping canisters down them.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Well, we know who's in charge of, we know the companies that are in there, aren't they? It's just ridiculous. It's got to be stopped.
Yeah. Well, there's a gentleman called Ian Rowland Crane. Now, he operates on various websites and alternative radio shows.
Is he one of the AVers, Gordon?
Yeah.
Oh, right. That's, right.
Yeah. So
that's interesting.
Ian Rowland Crane went to court as part of a court order for him not paying fines that were levelled against him by a corporate. However, he was working most of his life, adult life, for the same company that's giving the go-ahead for the reserves at the Horse Hill developments.
All right. That's very strange, Gordon.
Well, it is strange, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's that strategic oil find near Gatwick Airport.
Oh, the 100 billions barrels of oil.
50 to
that was advertised on the BBC.
And Gordon, isn't that company that you're referring to, isn't that Schlumberger?
That's
that's the one.
So Ian Rowland Crane used to work for Schlumberger. And
in Iraq, I think, as well.
Yeah,
but
if anybody checks the Horse Hill developments that was fronted by David Anthony Lenegas, you have to have somebody who you can palm off as saying, well, they checked the results and that's what they said was there. Do you understand where I'm coming from? There's always a
Advertising, Gordon.
Pardon?
Advertising.
Well, it's not just advertising. There's no due diligence to be able to confirm that those independent results of the flow rates said to be coming from the drillings, where they're flowing freely out of those oil wells, is that nobody looks at the technicalities behind the individual directors of those companies.
Exactly. Yeah.
When you start to look at Schlumberger, when you look at the other companies that have used them as support structures, at the end of the day, when all these companies turn up having dry wells and check their history of financial collapse, where is the due diligence by the government to start saying, whoa, let's have a look at this? And they don't. Why? Because they got members of the House of Lords as non-executive directors of these Ponzi scam oil, gas and mining companies.
It's very worrying, apart from the financial aspect of it, the theft is if they're actually storing nuclear waste down these things or whatever else they want to store, these holes that they're drilling. It's very worrying, Gordon, isn't it?
Oh, if you're next to them, yeah.
Yeah.
Look, with Dr. David Kelly, they're holding records for 70 years before the members of the public are allowed to gain access. 70 years. With Sir Mark Thatcher, another 70 or 35 years. I'm not quite sure. 35, I think.
Didn't his mother live out the rest of her days in the Ritz?
Yeah. Which was next to 22 Arlington Street.
Exactly. Well, her husband set up Finchley Road, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dennis the Menace, they used to call him.
Yeah.
Nasty bit of work.
Gordon, do you know why the IRA blew up that hotel in Brighton years back with Margaret Thatcher in it?
Well, I think that you would have to look.
That shook her, didn't it?
Involvement. You have to look at the involvement of the only witness of Andrea Davison in her in absence court case, and that was Kevin James Carhill. Kevin James Carhill was, I said before, he was the intelligence advisor for Lord Paddy Pantsdown Ashdown and Gordon Brown.
Yeah.
Now, when you start to look at the history and the biography of Lord Paddy Ashdown, you will see a close inference to the problems in Ireland. Do you understand?
You'll have to be a bit more specific, Gordon, because I don't really know a great deal about this side of it.
What I understand is that Paddy Ashdown had great influence with the Protestants of Northern Ireland. Now, it was said that there was a Lord Tugendhat.
Oh, right, I've come across that fella's name a few times.
Well, yeah. I did, specifically.
Isn't he in Rio Tinto as well?
Well...
Is he?
I said, no, wait a minute. Lord Tugendhat, there was an attempt made to assassinate him, said by Dr. Carhill to be the IRA. Now, as you know, the provos were being supplied with arms and munitions, mainly from American money. Do you remember how the IRA were getting it from America, and Britain was supplying the provos? It's a joke. It's a bit like Iran and Iraq.
So they're both supplying both sides at once. Yeah.
Yes. So it becomes a joke unless you start to dismantle and have to do it. And that's what I believe that they were doing, is that Lord Paddy Ashdown had a greater influence on understanding where the money was coming from to fund and where the munitions were coming from, the arms were coming from. How did they get FNs, the SLRs that we were using when I was in the RAF? How come these people got sniper rifles? Who's supplying them? Do you understand? And it all boils down to money. Money. And that's where Miss Andrea Davison popped up. Is that how come her only witness in her defence was her old friend, Kevin James Carhill, who just happened to run a defunct mining company, oil and gas company, that his rest of his companies are formed out of 923 Finchley Road. And the previous address of Joey Joseph, who runs that 923 Finchley Road, was 788 790 Finchley Road. It's a joke. You know, you want to shut these problems down, identify the boiler rooms, set up an inquiry, do it one by one, and you'll just knock a set of cards down. And that's what I wanted to do. However, as I said, the island problem is better understood when people like Lord Paddy Ashdown, in the greater word of the corridors of power in Westminster and the House of Lords, these people are the people that are responsible for the massive corporate espionage and fraud, theft and money laundering. It's just to identify them one by one and dismantle them. And that's the easy part. And all you need is a dedicated auditor and accountant, and I think I've got one. Yeah. And I'll bung his name in here. His name is Andrew Rowe, who has followed my work for many years and made himself known to me quite recently. And he offered me to pay the registration fee to stand in the constituency of Joe Cox, the assassinated Tory MP. Yeah. And I thought, well, I can put it on here, I thought that there would be two better candidates for him to fund for the registration fee to stand as an independent. And that was Rose Gentle, who lost her son in Iraq, and Reg Keys, who lost his son in Iraq, one of 6 policemen.
Yeah. Of course, Reg was the famous guy who ran against Tony Blair.
That's right,
and absolutely wiped the floor with him with his 3 or 4 minute speech. And they made a little movie of that, so you can. Anyone wants to know who Reg Keys is, just Google his name.
Yeah. So I've tried to contact Reg to say the offer has been made to me. I don't believe that I'm well known in the public domain, and because he's been a major media expose celebrity, I thought it would be a far better candidate to stand against these people. Although
another man of integrity.
Yeah, another man of integrity that wants the truth to come out. And that's all I want, is I want the truth to come out, and I want to make it a better world. That's all I want.
I'm sure there are quite a lot of our listeners who would be hoping that you would take up that offer, Gordon, because I'm sure there's quite a lot would love to see you stood for Parliament.
Look, as I said, I'm 65. I've spent 15 years trying my best, and I've succeeded in a lot of places that are probably not well known, but I've hurt these people where it hurts most, and that's in the pocket. And I have a slight nice chuckle to myself to see these people resign, although they leave a paper trail. And that's the paper trail that I have within the library, which will be used by Pandoras Box Investigation. And it's a library not of hearsay, not of conspiracy, but a library of factual corporate documents that, when stitched together, show a bigger picture of the £1 billion fraud that these people are getting away with. But gradually, the net is closing on them, because gradually they're trying to cut and run. But unfortunately, they've left a slime trail of their involvement. And as I said, in history, in the word of fraud, it has no time boundaries, if you didn't know. As soon as you start to mention fraud as a criminal act, it has no time boundaries if it can be recovered and easily proven in a court of law. Well, these muppets have left their full trail in corporate documents, and that's the lovely part about it, because I've got them all.
Yeah, Andy, it's best if Gordon stays where he is and drives this through. Yeah? To just make sure that all this gets out into the open and that it starts to get into the courts. And as he said before there, we start pulling this house of cards down and make sure it gets done. Keep putting the pressure on these people that are in Parliament or wherever, and then the courts and whatever, to do the job, to get the job done. That's where Gordon needs to be, at least for the time being. And then he wants to go fishing after that.
Of course, I see that absolutely, David. I just wanted to give Gordon a little bit of leeway to explain to the listeners why he wasn't going to take that particular offer up.
Oh, it's not if I wouldn't try. It's just I believe that they're far better people. Money is one thing, but when you lose a relative through an action of a prime minister to take you to war in an illegal war that resulted in 179 casualties, fatalities, and damaged and maimed individuals who have a far bigger right for justice than when we talk about exposing organised crime, money laundering. You're talking about the vilest action of a member of who operated under the public interest to take a country to war. I mean, I don't take it as an ex-serviceman. I take it greatly that when I looked at the Falklands War, I came out in Christmas Day, December the 25th. I left the Royal Air Force 1981. That was my last day of service. And then I had 3 months discharge leave. However, had I stayed in and stayed from 12 to 22 years, I would have loved to have volunteered for the Falklands War. However, when I saw the sinking of the Belgrano and understood that there were hundreds of conscript teenagers on that battleship, I felt that we had a responsibility, not just for our losses, but those of individual servicemen of our enemy, that they get justice in a little way. They were kids. Yeah. You understand? They weren't hardened veterans and specialists. They were youngsters who were shoved on a cruiser that wasn't even heading for the common.
It was heading away from the island.
That's right. So, the enemy to you is given as an enemy by your superiors. However, I don't like mass slaughter as was witnessed in Iraq either, when they decimated thousands of people trying to flee Kuwait. Say that to me is not an even playing field. And when you talk about the dirtiness of war as service people, there's no such thing as the glory of war, because I've seen the results of certain conflicts, and there's nothing nice about it. And I'm sure every serviceman that's ever seen any combat would understand what I'm trying to say, is that those politicians, the ones that hide and go for dinner at Mirabelle's and pay £10,000 for a pop for a bottle of blinking wine, those are the scum that have made the decisions to sign a piece of paper and then glorify it by standing on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th, bow their head and say that they are honouring the dead. Pass me a vomit bucket, please.
Yeah. I mean, red cheese would be ideal for that, Gordon. And
yes.
if Rose Gentle supporting would be brilliant as well.
Well, I've sent them.
Two of them. If you get the two of them to stand, that would be fantastic.
I've sent them messages. Just if they want to do it,
Yeah.
I mean, the reason politicians find it so easy to go to war, or it seems to be their only answer, is because when you think about it, the people that die in wars, mostly the majority of the conscripts come from, poverty-stricken areas. It's their only way out. So that's why they don't care.
They get the insurance money back as well, every time somebody gets killed, they claim insurance money.
I mean, they've done it in a great way because, the people that are in charge of those conscripts come from their class, if you like to call it that, all these generals, I mean, there's so many generals, they're all bumping into each other, there's so many of them. It's laughable the way that everything's run. And it's run in a dysfunctional way for a purpose.
Yeah. I mean, talking about Ashdown, he was really pushing that conflict in Serbia, Bosnia.
Yes.
Really pushing it, I mean,
have a look at...
We know why.
Yeah, of course. Just have a look at the companies he's been involved in. I mean, it's not rocket science, as Gordon says. all you've got to do, the answer is to follow the money. I mean, Gordon said that to me not long before we met, and not long after we met, I mean. And that's the way. It's the answer. Follow the money.
Somebody going to open that door?
No, it's my bloody neighbour. He's drilling holes and banging nails. I'm on the mute button.
Hit him on the head with a hammer.
If you look outside your window, can you see a big van with a riot shield over the front?
That's okay, mate. I'm right. No worries. I'm surrounded by barbed wire.
With a big red key, they call it.
Yeah.
There was some,
if we thought about that too much, Gordon, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. I don't really care. They can do whatever they can do whatever. Look, at the end of the day, we've already put out. We've got no plans on going anywhere. We've got no plans on falling under a bus. And if anything like that did happen, a hell of a lot of people will be asking questions, I can assure you. So, I don't care. I'm more interested.
You're releasing a lot of information if that happens.
Yeah, I'm more interested in trying to help the people that are living on the streets, which the majority of are ex-servicemen, the majority of, some say 70%, we're trying to help the people that are queuing up for food banks,
Exactly.
the mothers that want the HIV fertility stuff, the NHS, which is in an absolute mess. We've got a police force that is corrupted to hell. It is corrupted beyond repair, and it's a mountain to climb. But I'd rather do it this way than maybe having a civil war or something like that, where more of us die needlessly. So we've just got to keep chipping away.
Peter, you're seeing at the moment there's mass demonstrations against the police shooting black people.
Charlotte, yeah.
I mean, you can understand it. You can understand it. It's I mean, myself. To me, it's an absolute ridiculous divide and rule thing that they've got over the population in some way. I mean, people are more judged on what's in their bank account than what's in their what's the skin colour. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I said we all have a duty of care. That's what I've always said. We all have a duty of care. If you see somebody outside fall down, it's an automatic reaction. If you care, is to go out and help, because that's
called empathy
of who you are. Those that turn a blind eye and don't want to get involved, they're the people who, in my eyes, and I say it's in my eyes, are scared for that involvement
or scared for their jobs, or scared for what
Yeah,
exactly.
But when you encounter people who I've most of my life, who stand up for the right reason, is even against ridicule and say name calling. I don't mind that. It's the integrity that I have, is that when I see those people, they're the people who then, when things turn around, they say, "Oh, yeah, I knew him." Yeah. However, that's not the point. You have to have a directional, as a serviceman. When you see a weakness, you have to attack it. And once you know that
again,
you have to keep pounding it, and that pounding will always centre around Finchley Road and start off with Anglesey-Mining PLC, and then to follow that, there's over 1,300 other Ponzi scam companies that I have full record of. And do you know how many lords, sirs, baronesses, VIPs, members of royalty are all involved in those companies? Well,
the majority of
House of Lords could be then used as a refugee camp. Trust me.
Yeah. I completely understand that. And, this is what we're dealing with psychopaths at the end of the day. And I find with psychopaths, once they start losing a bit of control, once they start losing a bit of control, they start making a lot of mistakes, you know. And you can usually tell because at the end the tears start to come. You know, it's the psychopaths are in charge, or the nutters are in charge of the nut house. However you want to put it, that's the predicament that we've got. You know, that we're facing. So, you know, take us to court. You know, I mean, we've laid the gauntlet down. You know, there's no need for violence, or you know, I've got no intention of causing anyone any harm. I just want to expose the truth along with my comrades in Pandora's Box.
Yeah, it's always the same thing, Peter and David. Show me any substance to the accusations that I have been making for the last 16 years. If I can show something to investigate further by a government public company or inquiry into the actions of the directors of Angelsey-Mining PLC. I said that's a start. If there's any substance to those accusations, well, trust me, it's all laid out. It's in their company documents. There's no way of getting out. And the reason,
we just need funding to bring a private prosecution. So if there's anyone out there with deep pocket, you know, wants to make an investment, well, you know, then please get in touch because you know, we're ready to go. We're ready to go into the court.
Big cameras.
Yeah, we got big cameras.
We've got everything. We've got the paperwork. We've got the cameras. We've got the people. We're ready to go to court. So yeah, bring it on. You know. Someone out there fund us. You know, you guys in Canada, you know, or Australia, or you know, wherever, because this happens all over the world. You know, we've got information on nearly every Western goings on of corruption that you can think of. So get in touch.
And Pete, you mentioned there that you could do with some funding from someone who's got deep pockets. I mean, what kind of figure would you be looking at to start the ball rolling?
Sure.
Well, let Gordon have a say.
Based upon Dave Eden's camera gear, which is professional studio video cameras, you're looking at about $8,500 per camera, and then there's the lenses and the ancillary radio mics that go onto it, and the boom lighting. You'd probably look at about £30,000 to set you up comfortably to start a production company. Now, there are plenty of companies out there who do the film work for major projects. The thing is to get a sponsor to cover the hiring of those professional camera crew people who do the productions. Now, I could go to a company, let's say I went to Ingenious Film Partners 2 LLP. Oh. And then I was to speak to David and Victoria Beckham, who are directors of that company, with Sir Alex Ferguson and a few English rugby players, to name a few. Now, what we were looking at, say, to start the ball rolling, is to be able to find a sponsor who wants justice for the rest of this country, to be able to invest and make a good return, because trust me, this stuff is the best in the world, and it's for the best cause in the world. It's to make it a better world for his children, his grandchildren, and all our children. That's what it's there for. It's one day, I would hope, that somebody will take up that offer. We are easily contactable, and it's a story of a lifetime. You're talking about making a bestseller movie, and then
it will go down in history. It will go down in history as the biggest crime of the last 1,000 years.
Yeah, easy.
Andy, when you publish this, when you put this out on the site, can you put Pandora's Box contact details on it?
Of course I will, David. I always do that at the end, yeah.
Like that, yeah.
Yeah, for anyone who's listening this on any other platform, if you go to raconteursnews.com and then along the top of the site, if you click on podcasts, you'll be able to find the shows with Gordon on and Pandora's Box on there.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
I mean, you know, we're all ordinary guys. You know, Gordon's retired. I drive HGVs for a living. So, you know, David works. I mean, you know, this is about.
Yeah, there's not enough to set that up.
People, you know, that have come across all this stuff, and we really want to start getting things happening. You know, we've been at it for a long time now, and you know, I'd like to initiate a private prosecution against directors of Angelsey-mining. I mean, we can do that if we had the funds there to do it. We're ready to go. You know, so
to set up a private prosecution is
costs a lot of money.
No, it's not hard. The object is to approach a government minister who has a duty of care under small business.
Gordon, we've done that, and we can't get anywhere.
No, wait a minute. We've never approached it as a group, only individually, like myself, who I've got the correspondence, I've given the details, I've got the contacts with HMRC, I've got the contacts with a Serious Fraud Office, I've got the correspondence that verify I named these companies before they financially collapsed, in billions. The evidence,
and also the Panama Papers, because you named the Panama Papers. You was talking about that years before it became world news. You know, so please, I mean, you know, listen to what we're saying. None of it's made up. You know, we're naming names. We're the only ones doing that.
It's just skimming the surface, Pete. The Panama Papers are just skimming the surface of this. Just skimming the surface.
You know, we got to spread this about. You know, if we get a couple of Wembley stadiums full of people that are standing behind us, it'll be unstoppable. You know, this is the answer that we're all looking for. You know, it's the smoking gun.
Can I just jump in? If we all get together as Pandora's Box Investigations and request an appointment with a government minister and do it the correct sequence of approach, is that we make an attempt to get an interview with
we'll have to have a meeting about that.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying is that if you focus on the correct sequence of how you go about a meeting, is that I've tried with Amanda Soloway, whose husband ran a debt facility company, as I mentioned before, that was linked to Finchley Road. And obviously, as soon as you highlight that their own involvement, they all run like hell. However,
she's the MP for Derby South, isn't she? Is it Derby South, Gordon?
Derby North.
Derby North.
Dame Margaret Beckett is Derby. Derby.
Oh God! Right. Okay. Right.
So what I would suggest is that we have a meeting. We set about writing to the small business professional, member of the House of Lords or whatever it is, the MP, and then we set about having to have a meeting to discuss the extent of the corruption within the House of Lords, the companies involved, but we highlight an initial Angelsey-mining PLC as an example. That's just one example. But there are 1,300 to follow, and that's the start. That's just the start. There's thousands, there's hundreds of thousands of fake oil, gas, and mining companies, and I've got them all. I've got them all,
and I can absolutely attest to that. Same as the other guys, you know. So you know, let's you know, if you want to be part of history, then let's get behind Gordon and Pandora's Box Investigations, and let's start doing something about it.
Yeah, and if there's anybody out there that have had their companies stolen off them, get in touch.
Or has been an investor, has lost money in an oil,
Yeah.
gas and mining company.
Yeah, get in touch.
Or who's a coal miner or a steel worker that doesn't understand where their pension funds have been decimated.
Yeah. You see, we've not only have we got the companies and the directors, we've also got the bank account. So, there's no running from all of this stuff. No running at all.
Oh, we might add in there's someone who's wondering where their British Home Stores pension went.
I've got
we can help them.
Exactly.
Help them people. We can help them people easily. So you just got to get in touch with us, and we'll take it from there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's great. Thanks for all your information, guys. I see we're running towards the end of the hour. Have you got any juicy little tidbits about what we might expect the next time we have an update in a month's time? Anything exciting in the pipeline there?
Well, I'm looking for a mass resignation of directors of Angelsey-mining PLC.
Yeah. One's already gone, hasn't it?
Yeah, that's Roger William Turner.
Yeah. So they'll start running. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Let them run.
Mm-hmm.
Because all that will do will show the integrity of what we've been talking about.
Have you noticed how this is speeding up now, Andy?
It does seem like we're in a situation like a snowball rolling downhill at the minute.
Andy, I listen to Radio 4 quite a bit, and some of the things that they talk about, it just makes me think. I wonder if they've used Gordon stuff on that, because I'd like to think that we're having a little bit of an effect, It's I think we're going to remain positive, and there's no way we're going to give up what we're doing.
No. We've only just started, Peter.
Well,
I mean, look, we've only released a tiny thimblefuls worth of information. We've got so much information that we're sitting on, but you've got to understand that if we released it, it could jeopardise any court case that comes up in the future, and that's one thing that we can't afford to do.
Mm-hmm.
So,
have you ever heard of Friends of the Earth? Yeah, they do a lot of nuclear disarmament and nuclear waste dump sites. Well, there's a guy called Michael John Wade in that company, or an executive, and a guy called Sir Peter Parker. Now, the most important thing is Sir Peter Parker is linked to multiple other companies in Dubai, like Dubai Limited. And guess where their corporate address advisors are? At UK PLC Client Limited, which you'll never guess where that one is.
I'd guess at 788 790 Finchley Road. Would it be anywhere close?
No, even better. It's just one of the sub-satellite boiler rooms. It's at 5 Jupiter House, Caliver Park, Aldermaston in Reading. And that's how I said, is that once you identify... Now, Peter Parker is involved in G4S, Stena Lines.
Yeah. So, Theresa May's husband.
G4S and Serco. Yeah.
Theresa May's husband is CEO of G4S, isn't it? Is he not?
I'm not sure if he's a director of that. I'd have to go back in my files. But as I said, I just do, with regard to individuals, to do a back trace of their history, their corporate history. But I would hope that if Mark Hardy can listen to this, if he gets his ear around it, if people pass away.
Is that Mark Donald Harvey, Gordon?
Yeah, that's Mark Hardy that's linked to PricewaterhouseCoopers.
Oh, right.
Oh.
In Judah.
Now there's a definitely.
Yeah. Well, Mark Hardy was one of the people that tried to upset the AGM at Anglesey-mining PLC in 2012, I think it was.
Yes, it was, Gordon.
In 2012.
Yeah.
And he's got an axe to bear because he lost 13 million.
Yeah.
And there was an arrest warrant out for him in Bermuda. However, he's the man I'm going to try and get hold of. Now, I hope, I believe you have a Dr. Rock on your...
Dr. Rocky, isn't it?
Is he Dr. Rocky on Anglesey-mining PLC share chat?
I wondered that.
No, he's actually Dr. Rock, and Dr. Rock will be along at 9 o'clock, folks, live from London. So I'll just wrap up here and say thanks ever so much, Gordon, Peter, David and Stevie for joining us again and giving us update on what's going on with Pandoras Box Investigations Limited. Put all the links in the podcast page so that you can keep up with what the guys are up to, and we look forward to speaking to you again in a month. So stay tuned for Dr.
Yeah, you find us on Facebook, Pandoras Box Investigations Limited. Just click on the tab and join the group, guys.
Okay.
Let's start doing something about this as a collective. Let's all connect.
Thanks for that, guys, and stay tuned for Dr. Rock. And if this show doesn't start automatically, just please refresh the page and Dr. Rock will be along shortly. Thanks, everyone, and goodbye for now.
Thanks very much indeed. Cheers, guys.
Bye now. See you, Gordon and Pete, Steve.
See you, mate.
Good night, all.